There's this interesting dilemma that can happen once you've figured out your processes and workflows, finding the right technology to streamline and automate them. Hi, I'm Alicia Butler Pierre. As small business owners, we don't have the luxury of wasting time and money experimenting with different technologies. We need to get it right the first time. And if we're lucky, we can spare our coffers from the blow of expensive, customized technologies by investing in an off-the-shelf or out-of-the-box solution. You're about to discover the low-cost technology that's changed the game for how one successful entrepreneur and her global team of 90-plus people work. Who knows? If you're really lucky, your team might also be able to use this technology and click up your way to operational success. This is Season 14, Episode 170. Let's start the show.
Welcome to Business Infrastructure, the podcast about curing back office blues of fast-growing businesses. If you're a business owner or operator looking for practical tips and solutions to scaling your business in a sustainable manner, you're in the right place. Now here's your hostess, Alicia Butler Pierre.
Having a tough time trying to explain ideas over a video conference? Try the ThinkSmart Whiteboard. It's the fastest whiteboard software in the world and allows you to upload flowcharts and write on them while your colleagues are watching remotely. Call us today for a free demo. The number is 1-866-584-6804 or visit us online at getmytablet.com. Now that's smart. Think smart. Today's episode is brought to you by Equilibria Incorporated. Scale your fast-growing business with less pain by hiring the right people, implementing the right processes, and leveraging the right technologies. Learn more at eqbsystems.com. That's eqbsystems.com. It's season 14, everybody, and we're exploring game-changing technology and how you can potentially use some of these technologies to revolutionize the way your company operates. Adding to the lexicon is the one and only Tracy Hazzard. Tracy's joining us from Foothills Ranch, California. She's the co-founder and CEO of Brandcasters Incorporated, the company behind Podetize. Now check this out, everybody. Podetize is the largest podcast production and alternative monetization company in the world. Tracy's also an Inc. columnist, and she's even been featured on Larry King Now as an industry expert. Now, although Tracy has quite the podcasting pedigree, we're actually going to focus on one of the technologies that she says has changed the game for how she and her team works. And that technology is ClickUp. Tracy, it's such an honor to have you here today. Welcome to the show. How are you?
Thank you so much for having me, Alicia. I'm so excited to talk business infrastructure, which is just so odd, right? Let's talk about this like techie behind the scenes stuff.
Which, Tracy, actually, that's a great segue to what I wanted to mention first to those who are listening. I had the pleasure of being a guest on one of your podcasts, The Binge Factor. And a couple of months ago, I was pleasantly surprised when I received an email from your team saying, hey, your interview on The Binge Factor was actually cited as in Tracy's top 20 interviews or best interviews, I believe. And mine had the designation of being the most unexpectedly interesting.
I had trouble naming what to give you So first off, this is the thing is like, we look at our 100 episodes. So this was a 100 episode celebration. And we looked at them and we said, well, which ones did the best in terms of like got a lot of listeners, really had interesting topics. But then if they didn't stand out in my mind as being memorable, then I nixed them off the list, even if they were a top show and a top episode in that case. And so yours stood out to me and I was just trying to figure out what to give you because it was just so different in our conversation about what your show is like, in the way that you run your show. So that's why I had to feature you. So congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. And it is indeed an honor. So actually, can you tell us more about Podetize and Brandcasters? So is it correct to just say Brandcasters or Podetize or both?
Podetize is our front-facing brand. And you know how companies, no matter what their company name is, they become known as their trademark as their front-facing brand. And that's what we are. So we're really known as Podetize. So we're a combination MaaS, marketing as a service, and SaaS, software as a service. So we're a combination of the two. So for marketing services, we really do just about everything imaginable related to podcasting, video to audio to blog to social share. We handle all of that for our clients. And then on the SaaS side, we have ad mixing and hosting combined in a really unique way. We're driven towards business use of podcasting, not sort of that entertainment use, although we do have entertainment networks that use our podcasting system as well. But that's basically what we are. We're just like the full service podcasting company.
Absolutely. And something that I have read consistently across all of your different websites, as well as your LinkedIn profile, basically anywhere I see you and your information online, is that, yes, we always hear about vanity metrics, right, Tracy? So
yes.
number of downloads being one of them, number of reviews. And I clearly remember having a conversation with you after you interviewed me on your show about, Apple Podcasts, really? Do you really have to make it so hard for people to leave a review? Really?
They all do. They all really do. It's crazy. Actually, I think the best one out there to leave a review, Good Pods. They have one of the simplest, like you're already listening to it and you're like, this is a great episode. So you can rate an episode, not just the whole show. It's one of my favorites. And all you just do is you click your star and type it in and you're immediately sharing that. But there are so few that are that simple.
Yes. And what was the name of that one again?
Good Pods.
Good Pods. Okay.
Yeah. It's run by JJ Ramberg and her brother, and they do a fabulous job. It's really just starting to take off in the last year.
Very interesting. So yes, and the reason I brought that up is because, again, something that I've seen across your materials online, no matter where I happen to land, is that it's not just about those vanity metrics, especially when you're talking about using your podcast as a potential business development tool. So I so appreciate that, because you're right. And that's definitely been my experience. Podcasting has definitely, I would say, it's breathed new life into my business, because things were getting really stale.
And that's so common. Yeah. In a sense, measure the wrong things all over the place. So we measure the wrong things a lot of times on social media. If we're measuring in followers and friends, we're not really measuring engagement and conversion. So how do we get to the measurements and things? That's something that drives me. I'm always trying to figure out, how do I maximize anything that I can do and my clients can do, so that we are really looking at measuring the right thing and making sure that it's making a measurable difference in our business, because otherwise it's not worth spending my time. I am a busy person.
Right. Speaking of being a busy person, my goodness, Tracy, you have such an interesting background. So I noticed you have a fine arts degree in product design, as well as textile design, and also an advanced degree in writing. But it looks like your journey, or your podcasting journey, I should say, started with your first podcast. Is it WTF 3D printing? Was that your very first podcast?
It was my very first podcast. It's called WTF.
Yes, WTFFF.
The 3 F stand for Fuse Filament Fabrication, which is the geeky term for 3D printing.
Oh, okay. That's why. Okay. Got it.
Yeah, it was our first podcast, and we started that in our design business. So we'd been designing products for mass market retail, things you buy at Costco, Walmart, Target. You can still buy our products today at pretty much anywhere. We have a platinum record office chair that they still sell, and probably sold better in the pandemic than ever before. And so that's our business that we had before. And we thought we're going to break out and we're going to move into 3D printing, and we want to develop all these extra services, and we might do some consumer direct stuff. And so the podcast was simply a test to see if the market wanted what we had to sell. And in the end, we determined the market didn't want it, it's a really good thing we didn't invest all this money into our business in that format and hire all these designers that we were going to hire. And instead, they wanted the information we had and they wanted more of it. So WTFFF was a test to see if people wanted to buy what we had to sell. And in that case, it would have been a bunch of designs and we would have had to hire a lot of designers. And I'm really glad we didn't invest that in our business because it turns out they didn't want that at all. What they wanted was the information about 3D printing. And so for us to become that resource was extremely valuable. And we ended up, creating a whole extra passive income strategy for ourselves within that business. But even more so, other podcasters came to us and said, what are you doing? And can you tell me exactly how to do that for myself? And when we would tell them, they would say, oh, could you just do it for me? And they would shove their credit cards at us. And so that's how we ended up with a whole spin-off business.
That's a nice thing for someone to do, is to shove their credit card at you.
Yeah, I think they could sense our hesitancy in trying to decide if it fit our current business, which it didn't. And eventually we had to completely, reform a new company. And that's how Brandcasters Inc. and Podetize came about. So.
Got it. And so now you've built this amazing team. And I was looking at some of the stats that are on the homepage of podetize.com. You all, up to this point, have produced over 550 podcasts. Wow.
I think it's a little out of date. I think we're over 600 now, and easily. And we have almost 100-person team right now. It's like 90 something. It changes all the time. So,
oh my gosh.
Yeah. So we have 90 people working around the clock, around the world.
Wow. Tracy. Oh my gosh. That is so impressive. With 90 plus people, I'm sure there's so many moving parts, and that you all definitely have to have technologies, especially being that they're in different parts of the world, different with working around different time zones. You have to have good technologies that can bring everyone together, make sure everyone is on the same page. Communication and transparency are so key. I'm wondering, is that what led you all ultimately to selecting ClickUp?
It did in sort of an indirect path. I mean, the reality is when we set out to do the business, we didn't want something to become completely templated and cookie cutter, which is why there is no technology on the production side of things. So it's not a Canva drag and drop graphic. Our graphic group actually makes custom graphics, right? It's not a automatic editing for video and audio system, right? We have real live editors who know what they're doing and listening to things and removing things. So we created this system that needed to be bespoke and at the same time extremely efficient so we could produce podcasts in 7 to 10 days. And so that is what led us to having to put tight controls over so that we could identify exactly where a podcast was in that 7 to 10 day process and who was touching it at that moment in time with the large team that we have, right?
Mm-hmm. I know. It was just starting to get good, right? Well, there's more where that came from. To listen to the full interview, be sure to click the link in the description box below. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and click that notification bell so that you'll know when our next episode drops. Until then, keep operating smoothly.
Join us next week for another episode of Business Infrastructure with Alicia Butler-Pierre.